ever opened a log file with hundreds of lines, sometimes even more, and immediately felt overwhelmed? At first, it feels like the only option is to search, scroll, copy-paste, and hope you do not miss anything important. But that is exactly the problem programming solves, because in security, you are almost never dealing with just one piece of data. And once that data gets bigger, manual work stops making sense. And that's exactly where arrays, loops, and strings come in. So today, I'm breaking down arrays, loops, and strings in a way that actually connects to hacking and cybersecurity. So let's get to it. Before jumping into code, think about what kind of data security people deal with every day, like IP addresses, usernames, domains, ports, and logs. At some point, storing every piece of data in a separate variable stops making sense. Imagine trying to track 100 suspicious IP addresses using 100 different variable names. That becomes difficult very quickly. That's exactly why arrays exist. An array is a way to store multiple values of the same type together under one name. So, instead of creating 10 separate variables, you can create one array that holds 10 values. You can think of it like a numbered list. Each item has a position. So, the first item has position 0, the second item has position 1, and so on. That position is called an index. The index is how you access a specific item inside the array. Let me give you an example. Let's say that we have several suspicious IP addresses that we want to track. So for that, we create an array called suspicious IPs. The square brackets tell C that suspicious IPs is an array, meaning it can store multiple items of the same kind. So each item inside this array points to one IP address. So this is one IP address, this is another, and this is another. The important idea is that arrays store values in order. So conceptually, this array looks like this. Arrays start counting at 0, not 1, okay guys? So the first item is index 0, the second item is index 1, and so on. Now, because each item has an index, you can access a specific item directly. So let's say you want to access the first item on the array, which is this one here. So you would print it like this. Basically, you are printing a string on the next line from the array called suspicious IPs on the index 0, which is this one here. So let's run this. Save it, compile it, and run it. As you can see, you printed the index 0. That's the core idea behind arrays. You store multiple related values together and you access them using indexes. In security, that matters because you rarely work with just one value. You often work with a collection of values like suspicious IPs or ports to check. Arrays make that kind of data easier to organize, and once the data is organized, the question becomes, what kind of data are you storing? A lot of times, especially in security, you are storing text, and that's where strings come in. In C, a string is stored as an array of characters, ending with a special character called the null terminator. That's one of the most important ideas in this lesson. So, a string is text stored character by character. So for example, the word hello can be thought of like this. On index 0 we have the age, index 1 we have E, and so on. So this is basically like our previous example. It also follows indexes. The final /0 is the null terminator. So it marks where the string ends. So the visible text is hello. However, C also stores the null terminator at the end, so string functions know where to stop. Now, because each visible character has a position, you can access characters inside a string the same way you access items inside an array. Let me give you an example. So this code here creates a character array called payload, and inside it saves drop table users. Now, because the string is stored as an array of characters, when you print payload with index 0, you access the first character. So in this case, that character is is D. And when you print payload with index 5, you access the 6th character, and in this case, that character is T. So let's run this program to confirm. So as you can see, you printed the letter D and the letter T. So when you use square brackets with a string, you are not grabbing a full word. You are grabbing one character at a specific position. Now, why does this matter in cybersecurity? Well, because a lot of dangerous input is just text. A SQL injection attempt is text typed into a form, a suspicious command is text sent to a server, and a malicious URL is text inside a request or a log. So when I say attackers hide payloads inside strings, I mean they place suspicious commands or malicious patterns inside normal-looking text. For example, a login field is supposed to receive a username, but someone might type text that tries to change the meaning of a database query. That suspicious text is still a string, and because it is a string, a program can still process it. Now, another useful thing is measuring how long a string is. For that, you can use this function. It counts how many visible characters are inside the string. For example, the result of this program is 17. So this counts the characters before the hidden null terminator. So the visible length is 17, but the actual character array contains 18 characters because it also includes the null terminator. This is useful because sometimes the length of the text matters. A username might need to be at least 4 characters, a password might need to be longer, a suspicious input might be much longer than expected, and once you can access characters and measure strings, you can start checking strings for patterns. For example, imagine a login form receives this input. This is suspicious because it looks like SQL injection attempt. One simple way to inspect it is to search for a single quote, and we can do that using this function here. So this searches the string for one character, and in this case it searches for a single quote. Now, if the character exists, this returns a pointer to where it found that character and the condition becomes true. Now, if it does not find the character, it returns null, and null is a special pointer value that means the pointer does not point to anything. So in this example, null would mean that the character was not found. Now let's run the program and see if we can find the character. And it printed quote found because we have a single quote in our string. Now we could also check for more than one suspicious pattern. So in this example, this checks a single quote, a semicolon, and 2 dashes. So this searches for one character and this searches for a full piece of text inside another string. Then the 2 pipes means or. So if one of these checks finds something, the program prints the warning. So in this case, it will print possible injection detected. Now I ran the program and as you can see, it printed possible injection detected because in this case, our string has single quotes. This is called pattern matching. And pattern matching means looking through data to see if a specific shape, word, character, or sequence appears. Security tools do this all the time, but the basic idea starts here. You have text, you search the text, you react if you find something suspicious. Also, this is not complete SQL injection protection. This is just a beginner example of searching for suspicious text. Now, another important word is parsing. And parsing means breaking text into smaller pieces so a program can work with it more easily. For example, this string here has 3 useful pieces. It has port, 22, and open. Now, a program may need to separate those pieces before it can understand them. Here's an example of that. This function here splits the string wherever it finds a space. So, port 22 open becomes smaller pieces. In this case, it becomes port 22 and open. When there are no more pieces left, this returns null and the loop stops. This is useful because logs, command output, and scan results are usually just big blocks of text. Parsing is how you turn that text into smaller parts that your program can use. Now, there is one more practical string example that I want to show you. As you know, sometimes you need to show parts of a sensitive value without showing the whole thing. In this example, this program prints only the first 7 characters of the API key and hides the rest with stars. So the key is still recognizable, but the full secret is not exposed. So let me run this very quickly so you can see what is printed, and as you can see, only the firsts were printed, the rest was substituted with stars. At this point, you know how arrays store multiple values and you know how strings store text as characters. But there is still a problem. So what if you have 100 strings or 1000 of IP addresses? You do not want to write the same line of code 1000 times. So this is where loops come in. Loops allow code to repeat automatically, so instead of writing the same line of code again and again, you write it once and let the loop repeat it. This is especially important with arrays. The array stores the data and the loop goes through the data. Here's a basic example. This loop prints every domain in the array, so it prints this here. But let me break the loop down. So this, you can divide this in 3 parts. So this is one, then this is other, and this is another. The first part starts the loop at 0. That matters because arrays start at index 0. Then the second part is the condition, so the loop keeps running while I is less than 3. Lastly, we have the third part, and this increases I by 1 after each loop. So the loop runs with I equal to 0, then 1, and then 2. When I becomes 3, the condition is no longer true and the loop stops. Now in this line here, the value of I changes each time the loop runs. So the program accesses a different item each time. When I is 0, it accesses the first domain, so this one here. When I is 1, it accesses the second domain, and when I is 2, it accesses the third domain. That is why arrays and loops work so well together. Arrays hold multiple values, as you can see here, and loops move through those values one by one. Now let's run the program. So as you can see, the program printed this, and then this. Now let's use that idea to filter usernames. Filtering means checking data and only keeping or showing the items that match your rules. Now, in this program, the array stores 4 usernames. Then the loop checks each username one at a time. This part here checks whether the current username contains a space or not. And this part here checks whether the username has at least 4 visible characters. Then this means and. Now this means that both rules must be true because we have an and. The username must have no spaces and it must be at least 4 characters long. If both rules pass, the program prints that username. And this is the beginning of automated filtering because instead of checking each username manually, the loop does the work. So let's run the program. So as you can see, everything was printed except this username because this username has a space. Now another common use for loops is counting. So this array represents 5 failed login attempts. The counter starts at 0 and every time the loop runs, this line adds 1. So after 5 loops, the count is 5. And this is the same basic idea behind counting failed logins or repeated suspicious events. So let's run the program and here you have it. It counted 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now let's use a loop to inspect URLs. So the array stores URLs, as you can see, and the loop checks each URL. Now this function here compares the first 7 characters of the current URL with http // and if they match, then the function returns 0. So this program flags URLs that start with http // So let's run the program. So as you can see, the program found one suspicious URL and it printed it. And now you are not just storing data, you are automatically processing it, and that's the point of loops. But because loops use indexes, they also create one of the most common beginner mistakes, and that is going past the end of an array. One of the most common beginner mistakes is trying to access an item that doesn't exist. For example, we have this program, and this is a problem because ports with an index of 5 does not exist because we only have 3 items. The valid indexes are 0, 1 and 2. So there is no index 3, 4 or 5. In C, this is especially dangerous because the program may not give you a clean error. It might crash, it might print a random value, or it might create a bug that is hard to find. This is called accessing memory out of bounds, and that means the program tried to read outside the area of memory that belongs to the array. So the safer approach is to calculate the array size and keep the loop inside that size. So this line calculates how many items are inside the array. This gives the total size of the whole array, and this gives the size of one item. When you divide the total size by the size of one item, you get the number of items. So this works here because ports is a real array inside this function. Then the loop uses this, and this means that the loop only runs while I is a valid index. So if the size is 3, the loop runs for index 0, 1 and 2. It stops before 3, and that is exactly what you want. Sometimes you also want to print the index and the value together. So this prints the position and the value together. So let me show you. And here you have it. Now this is useful because it helps you see how indexes connect to values, and it reinforces the most important rule, which is arrays start at 0. So if an array has 3 items, the last index is 2. So that's why this condition here is correct. And if you had this instead, this is very dangerous because this allows the loop to reach one index too far. So that kind of mistake is called an off by one error. And an off by one error means your loop runs one time too many or one time too few. In C, those mistakes can cause crashes, broken logic, and security bugs. So the safe habit is simple. Start at 0, stop before the size, and use indexes carefully. And when arrays, strings and loops finally click together, you can start writing programs to process real data automatically. And that's it, guys. I hope this video helped you in any way, and if it did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Stay curious and stay safe. Bye bye.